Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller, the podcast. I'm joined by Seth.
Hey, welcome, guys. Thanks for finding us on the internet.
Now, these shows originally aired on Brookings Radio, but now they're all here for your enjoyment. I hope you like it.
There you go. Sit back, enjoy the show, relax. Let us know if you want to see anything on future shows. As we said, this comes out live in the Brookings area, but enjoy this archive episode.
Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Welcome to Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. This week on Beer Untapped, we talk the heart and soul of beer, the malted grain, and later, a report on Brewtopia. Without malt, there is no beer. Malt is cereal grains, most often barley, that's been germinated and then dried, sometimes roasted.
The malt and the sugars, the maltose within the malt itself is the fermentable. That's what really gives the soul of beer. It not only gives flavor, it gives color, it gives other mouthfeel components, but maybe even as importantly, it is the sugar that the yeast eat to produce the carbon dioxide and also the ethyl alcohol.
That's Seth Koch from Wooden Legs and Brookings. Barley and other grains are modified at malt houses. Now, I wasn't able to find out exactly how many malt houses there are in the U.S., but it seems to be a growing number, around 50 or so, it appears.
The barley can be really changed with how it is handled in the malt house. You can tease caramel flavors out of it. You can tease coffee flavors out of it. You can leave it relatively neutral and just have the plain malted barley taste and malted barley color to it. So the maltster really has the control, the initial control of what the beer is going to be. The great thing about the craft beer scene in the U.S. is that all the craft brewers here have just a widespread buffet of different styles of malt to choose from.
Seth says just because a beer is dark does not mean it's going to be boozier or heavier than a lighter colored beer.
So just because a beer is lighter in color does not necessarily mean it's lighter in alcohol or lighter in flavor. And the inverse is true. Just because it's a big dark beer does not necessarily mean it's going to be heavy in alcohol. Guinness is a very low alcohol. Our 353 Stout here is 3.7% alcohol. It's the darkest in terms of color beer that we produce, but it's actually one of the lightest.
Depending on how it's treated, malted grain can produce all kinds of flavors: bread, biscuit, caramel, toffee, nuttiness, sweetness, even chocolate and coffee notes. And barley is not the only grain found in beers. Wheat, corn, rice, and rye also commonly used. And Brennan Sully Sullivan at Pints and Quarts in Brookings points out that malt is also incredibly important to those big hop-forward IPAs.
Where I really seem to notice it a lot, I drink a lot of IPAs, and if it's not balanced with the hops, the beer doesn't taste right. You feel that there's something missing, something lacking in the depth of the beer. And having the backbone to be able to support that much hops is, in my mind, crucial. I mean, I look for well-balanced IPAs, things like Odell IPA.
More on malt and a report on Brewtopia coming up as Beer Untapped continues.
Have a Guinness every day. Have a Guinness anyway.
Welcome back to Beer Untapped as we discuss malt and a report on Brewtopia coming up. Brookings Liquor Store has lots of beers that feature malt flavors right up front. Drew Eklund tells us about a couple of new ones.
From Grand Teton, it's called Sheep Eater. It's a Scotch ale. It's $8.69. It's a bomber. It's malt heavy. It's nice, sweet, smoky flavor to it. The next one is from Goose Island. It's called The Muddy. It's an Imperial Stout, $11.75 for a 4-pack. It has a nice molasses flavor, hints of vanilla, toffee, dark chocolate, and just a little bit of a licorice flavor to it. The next one is from Ayinger, their Oktoberfest, which I think both you and I can agree that it's
my favorite Oktoberfest.
It's the best Oktoberfest in the store.
Tyler Luckhurst at Pints and Quarts of Brookings says this week's Mike Tap Handle Beer of the Week is a delicious malt-forward beer out of Lincoln, Nebraska.
Imperial's Big Old Red Ale. The malt sweetness comes in right on the front, and then you have this almost like a toffee caramel back to it, and it almost twists right in with a cherry wood smoked malt that also provides a little bit of an apricot, almost like a fresh cherry finish.
Like a bit of porter or an ale, half a Weizen or a pale, double, triple or a stout. If it's a light beer, pour it out. You can pour that it out.
Also today on Beer Untapped, the first Hy-Vee Brewtopia was held on Friday the 5th in Sioux Falls. I thought it was a very well-run, well-organized event, and while there may not have been any to die for one-of-a-kind beers, there were lots of great brews on hand. I also met lots of great folks, including Carl Schmitz, the brewmaster at Westo Beers of West Okoboji, Iowa.
So we started in May of 2013, we opened, and we've kind of stuck locally for a long time. Last fall, we started bottling beer and distributing more. We had a lot of draft accounts. We're doing a lot of kegging, but now we're bottling more and more and more. And we just came to South Dakota in July. We're just kind of introducing ourselves to South Dakota right now. Tell us about your beers. My philosophy in brewing is it better be drinkable.
Jake Vogelai is sales manager with Tallgrass Brewing of Manhattan, Kansas.
I love these festivals. It gives a chance to get my beer out in front of everybody. I mean, not only that, but it gives a chance to try all these great breweries that are here. I mean, there's so many good breweries that are here. And I love opening up any city to a good craft market where they can try everything. I mean, if you're out there and you're buying Squatters, you're going to be trying something new, and then you're going to come back and buy Tallgrass as well. So I love it.
David Pasique is with New Belgium Brewing of Fort Collins, Colorado.
We have a new beer coming out in our Hop Kitchen series called Hop the Pond, where we're getting ingredients from different continents and bringing them together and blending them together in our beer, which is a very unique approach. And I haven't even tried it yet, so I hear it's awesome because it just came into the market.
And finally this week on Beer Untapped, a special event coming up Saturday the 13th, that evening at Wooden Legs Chicago Night. Some great Goose Island Chicago beers and some Chicago Italian-style food. Seth and Joe from Wooden Legs fill us in.
We'll be serving Italian beef sandwiches. If you haven't been to Chicago and tried one of these things are spectacular. And we're going to pair that with a tap takeover from Goose Island, so a Chicago original. It's going to start about 6 o'clock. Everybody's welcome.
So the Italian beefs that we're going to be serving, we're going to be using a local bread from Cottleston Bread. We're going to be serving that with a thin shaved down beef. We're making a jus it'll be going in, and then the Italian beef is served with a jardinare, which is marinated vegetables. I've got onions, peppers, olives, 3 different olives, a few different peppers, all marinating away. And then we're going to play around with some fun sides with that.
And that is it for Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Next week, the final key ingredients in making beer, water and yeast. Until then, drink local and drink responsibly. Thank you for listening to this archived edition of Beer Untapped with Perry Miller. Feel free to listen to other episodes, and if there's anything you'd like us to talk about on a future show, please let us know. Thanks again.